Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Housewife Historian, and we are here to talk the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm going to be talking a little bit in code today because if you watch my channel and you watch my live, yes.
Is the plane going down? Are we gonna die? Why are you saying I'm sorry?
Okay guys, give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to let a couple people get into the room. Give me 2 seconds. Okay guys, I'm back. I was trying to do my audio for you differently, but I don't think I'm going to have it together to do this video, and I want to chat with you guys about some different things and get everyone's opinion. If they've been keeping up with what's going on in the Bravo world right now. Nene Leakes is trending. P.S. She was live on Carlos. Well, she wasn't live, but she did a whole podcast with Carlos King. And he posted the first part of it, and she's already viral on the internet right now. So that's kind of interesting. Let me turn my camera on for you guys. There we go. A little bit better. Okay. Nene Leakes, she was on Carlos King podcast. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I want to talk about Kandi Burruss because she was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen and Erin. Erin is new. She's from the Real Housewives of New York, and so she was obviously on after the Real Housewives of New York aired the premiere. And Kandi sat first chair, which seems appropriate. But they're really talking about Atlanta right now because Atlanta's struggling in the ratings. If you guys were not aware of that, they are struggling. And this was supposed to be really a make or break season for them. Bringing Sheree back. They have Sonia. They have Drew Sidor. I think they were even... Cynthia may have just filmed. I don't think she's in this season, but I mean, they were expecting higher ratings. Unfortunately, the Real Housewives of Atlanta sort of have a handicap in a way that Bravo does not ever promote them. Last year, I think they paid for their own promo photos. For whatever reason, Andy Cohen seems to really have a bias towards the Real Housewives of Atlanta, but he loves Kandi Burruss. Everyone says that. But he seemed shocked when she said that she had bought extra Beyoncé tickets and that she had handed them out to her loyal Instagram fans and followers. And I took a clip and I put that on TikTok. It has 20,000 views. And I was looking through some of the comments because Andy Cohen looked very shocked that Kandi did that. And in my head, I was sort of thinking, I wonder if Andy Cohen is asking himself right now, damn, do we ever do that? Do we give stuff out to any of our people? Yeah, we need to do that. In all the years that Bravo's been around, I don't think I've ever heard them give anything away. I don't think I've really heard them do much with contests. Have you guys? If so, put it in the comments. I want to know what your thoughts are about that, because it seems like Andy has different franchises that he does preferably and we've gotten a couple of blind items I went over last week. One of the blind items was about, it was disclosed and answered, and the answer was Andy Cohen. And this wasn't a blind item, something that was DM'd into somebody's DMs. This was a blind item from the Crazy Hollywood Days and Nights site from the NT lawyer, and it was Andy Cohen basically saying that he didn't think that the Real Housewives of Miami, that they should do a reboot. He wasn't in favor of it. And so he is salty about its success. And that sort of makes sense. Also, because of the fact that it's being so successful in Miami right now, I think when it airs, The Real Housewives of Miami is going to be in the top 3 franchises when it comes to The Real Housewives, if you ask me. Miami is on fire. They have money. The women have good careers. They got Larsa Pittman down there. She's a big name by herself. People want to watch, and see what she's like. So Miami is going to kill it, unless if Bravo screws it up, because I feel like they screw everything up. Except for the Real Housewives of New York, people are really digging that. But back to Kandi recognizing her fans, there's been a lot of talk amongst the Bravo community and the Bravo blogger community because of the fact that Bravo, like any other like NBC, whatever, they don't get any sort of free publicity like Bravo and Bravo celebrities get from stan accounts and from bloggers. And if they are following Real Housewives, then obviously that's giving Bravo press as well. And it's leading them back to press and leading them to the Bravo station where they're making money. Right now, we're seeing Bethany come out and talk about forming like a union for the housewives, and the fact that they have like no sort of medical or dental insurance. And then you have somebody on the other hand that says, well, like they make so much money, like should they include mental or health insurance? I don't know. It's a whole debate right now. Bethany is coming on strong. It was actually really funny because I forget who she was talking to, and they were basically like kind of arguing with her. And then they were like, but if you get a class action lawsuit or something going, like we're in, let us know. I feel like it was someone with Kim Zolciak, but I can't remember specifically. Also, it looks like Kim Zolciak and Croy are headed back together, or that the divorce attorneys are so expensive that they're going to try to reconcile for the time being so that they can have the proper representation and probably file bankruptcy as a whole, is what I'm assuming. If anyone else has an opinion on this, please comment, or you can email me. You can check me out on my website. But I'm interested in what you guys' thoughts are. We saw them go to church. She posted a photo of them holding hands, but it wasn't like them. It was just their hands. So sketchy. A lot of new body cam and 911 phone calls have been released from the Atlanta Police Department, I guess. So all the phone calls that were made to 911, it's visual as well because it's the police and their body cams. Kim called 911 once. She had like a robe on. She kept kind of like opening it and closing it, and people were commenting like that she was kind of like, it's the same officer in several of the same 911 calls. Again, some people on the fence saying that you shouldn't be calling 911 over these things that don't seem emergency, but they are an emergency for Kim. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Is she just trying to get back on the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Nene Leakes interviewing with Carlos King is big time because of the fact that Nene had the lawsuit against Bravo. And we know that Carlos would never work for Bravo again. I don't think they parted on the greatest terms. If you remember, I think it had to do with the Real Housewives of Atlanta and the rumor about Kandi Burruss and Todd and the basement, the whole dungeon, if you will. And what I find so peculiar about that story, and I don't know if anyone else has ever made this correlation, but we know that Kandi is friends with T.I.'s wife, Tiny. And a couple of years ago, there was an attorney that came out representing 5 or 6 different women that claimed that they had been AR'd, or like stuff was put in their drinks, whatever the case may be. There was like 5, 6 different women that came out and said they had this same exact experience with that rapper and his wife. And so I often wonder if Kandi just running in the same circle as T.I.'s wife, Tiny, that's how that rumor made its way. And instead of being the rapper and his wife, they replaced it with Kandi and Todd. That's just my guess on the situation. Nene also talks about Phaedra Parks and being pregnant during the filming of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And she kind of makes a dig at Phaedra for basically not knowing how far along she was. If you watched The Real Housewives of Atlanta, her answers and responses about her pregnancy and how far along she was would never fly in today's standards. But back then it was a different story. But she basically, I don't know how she said it, but she tried to say she wasn't as far along as she was. And then probably when she was really actually due to give birth, she said that they were actually taking the baby early, is what I'm assuming. I think that is how that went, but I can't remember exactly. And Apollo will later say, because he's remarried. If you guys follow Apollo, you should follow him. I feel like him and his girl are probably going to be coming out with some kind of not lifetime reality show. Maybe it'll be on Oxygen or Zeus, because he got out of prison. They got married. I think she was engaged to him before he went and did those 8 years in the feds. She was like online looking for a venue, and they had posted, I think in TMZ, their wedding photos or something. But he always kind of exposed Phaedra for what he said she was behind the scenes, and that Phaedra knew that he was like living at home with his mom on an air mattress, and she would come over and do him on the air mattress and then leave and go back to her $1 million house, wherever. Because remember, Phaedra's mom was like a pastor, I think. So Phaedra didn't want to be pregnant before she was married to him, right? Crazy. Nene also talked about the dynamic of the show changing when Kenya came on, which I really wish that Kenya and Nene could work things out, because I love and respect them both. And I have a different kind of love for Kenya, kind of like I do for Teresa. Like, everyone on the other team has very valid points when it comes to, reasons why, the negatives of Kenya for whatever reason. But I just really do love her. And I think at first they didn't really give her much. They were kind of treating her shitty at first. So I can understand she had to work her way and earn her keep. And she did that. She's put her time in now. So it would be nice to see Kenya and Nene like make up. I don't think we'll ever see Nene back on our TV screens as far as it pertains to Bravo. But if Nene had any smarts, her and Kim Zolciak would go get their own production team, and they would be filming their own shit, okay? And give me 10% for the idea. That's all I'm asking. 8%, please. Like, hello, Kim needs the money. Nene needs the money. You two are like the biggest. Why do you need a network behind you? Come on, women. You're supposed to be bosses. You're supposed to be cashing Trump checks. Like, I don't care if you got to put your cousin out there with a camera and film you and sell it to Zeus or whatever, or Oxygen or E or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like they're pretty big names. They might be able to pitch something to a network and it would work. Just my opinion. Scarlett says, me too. I wish Nene and Kenya would work it out. Me too, because you know what? Kenya could say F you to Bravo as well, because just as they've done Teresa dirty, they've done Kenya dirty before too. And that they all three could, obviously Kenya and Nene would have to carry the show, because we know how Kim is, and when she like has a man, once Kim got Croy, and Kim didn't need the show anymore. It was a happy medium when Kim dated Big Papa, because Big Papa had a whole nother family he had to take care of. And while he was taking care of them, Kim was able to spend his money, take care of her family, and film. But when Croy came along, he kind of took his time and invested it into her and her girls and the things that they were doing. And so I don't think Kim really wanted to film anymore. That's why she didn't go on the trip to Africa. If you remember, Croy would like drive her to film at a restaurant, and he would freaking sit in the car and wait on her. Like, come on now. I even noticed in one of his videos with the police, he like told the police like that his wife had made every single decision about where they went, what they did, everything up until like recently. And that was the big change in their relationship. And basically he alluded to the fact that she has a lot of narcissistic traits. And I think that to be true. Kim had a certain way that she liked things done. She was older, obviously. He probably thought that she knew what she was talking about. And Kim has a way of presenting herself in a way that is very matter of fact. Remember when everyone thought that she could have the C word? And like Andy had to flat out ask her on the reunion, like, do you or don't you or did you? That was actually the demise, I think, of Nene and Kim's relationship, was when Nene went off about Kim Zolciak and was like, I don't know anyone that's had 2 heart attacks, a stroke, fell down a flight of steps, had 3 concussions, 3 C-sections, 3 blood transfusions. I don't know, all this craziness Nene was saying about Kim, and it was funny. Scarlett said Kim really turned her back on everyone when she didn't need them anymore. Nene and Kandi, I agree with you, Scarlett, and I think that sometimes women have they make that mistake. Some women can't be with like a man and maintain friendships with their girlfriends. That's how some relationships work, like Joe and Melissa Gorga. They pretty much abandoned everyone too, unless if you were another couple, because they were so jealous of each other, they wouldn't let the other one go anywhere without each other. So therefore, they were always a couple. They always hung out with couples, because if I'm Melissa's friend, which I never would be, but if hypothetically I was Melissa's friend, I don't want to go hang out with Melissa and Joe all the time. Like, sometimes I just want to hang out with Melissa, right? I want to go talk girl talk. I don't want to talk to you and your husband every single time. So this is like a common theme with women. And then when shit goes bad, they're like, I have no friends. Like, yeah, it was like worse in high school when girls did it, because you weren't together that long with a boy, and then you ditched your friends and it was harder to get back in. Now it's been so long, Nene probably doesn't really remember why she was mad at Kim, except for the fact that there was a video going around and it's like she had bugs in her bathroom. I don't know about all that, but also, guys, I want to talk really quickly about BravoCon. If anyone is going, please comment that you've bought your ticket, that you're going to BravoCon. I want to know everyone's thoughts on it. So last year, BravoCon was definitely not organized. It was held in New York City. Joe and Frank did a stand-up comedy act at Caroline's on BravoCon Eve, and for some reason, I think New York works better because it's not just a vacation destination. Like, people live there, people work there. It's like a tri-state area type of situation. You were able to maybe buy a 1-day BravoCon pass, come into the city, stay the night if you want to. You could get a cheap ass hotel if you really wanted to, and then leave in the morning. And do it without spending a huge fortune. Like, you have to look at your genre too, right? Because if you have a lot of housewives that have kids and they are your audience, it's hard to pick up and leave your kids for 2 or 3 nights to go to Vegas. One, you have mom guilt, number one. Two, that's like, I've never left my child for more than 2 nights, right? But one night I'm comfortable with. I can handle that. I can trust that everything is okay. Like, it's one night, but like 2 full days. When we start talking 2 and 3 nights, it's a long time to feel far away from your kids and who's taking care of them and how they're being taken care of. And also, this is going to be during the school year, so it's going to be a school weekend. And I just think that the genre of people that are Bravo viewers, it doesn't seem completely logical to. I think the tickets for 2 days are like $1,050, if I'm correct. That doesn't include anything except for maybe your meals. Maybe then there's like an upgraded plan that's like 1,600, I think, or 1,400, and basically that just lets you cut the line. So, okay, says, but Vegas is closer to other moms. So I think that like in the Vegas surrounding area, for sure, it probably is. But again, I think with New York, like, it was available to a bigger area because it was like New York and New Jersey and, Pennsylvania and even Ohio. Like, all of that area could sort of facilitate, a drive there. And I don't know, for me, when I think of Vegas, it's what, like 3.5 hours from LA. People from LA don't want to drive 3 hours in 2023. Like, they want to take a flight. I just feel like people in LA, California's like fast paced. They don't want to drive to Vegas. That sounds like old school to them. But they might, I mean, again, you might have like girls trips and women that are able to like get together and take like a girls trip, and I think that would be like amazing. But it takes a lot more organization, I think, to do that, because then you got to have someone that plans it as well. Because I know for me, even when I've just planned a night to like go to the winery in New York, something falls through, there's an emergency, somebody can't come, you have an extra ticket, you factored them into the hotel room, you took a different route, whatever the case may be. If you're organizing it, you have the pressure of organizing it, collecting all of the funds, keeping everything tracked. Everyone's reporting to you, so your phone's going off. Hate that. And secondly, again, you got to find the right people. Like, I don't know. I probably could name 4 women I want to travel 2 or 3 nights to Vegas with. That's just me. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you guys, because it's strictly my opinion. So I don't know if Vegas seems more feasible if it's like makes it more do you think Vegas makes it available to more people than say New York does? Because that's the real question. And I guess it really doesn't even matter about availability because the prices are so high. I think that's going to eliminate most people out of the game immediately. Like, right here, that's crazy. I'm not paying that to see anyone. I think it includes the food, though. Did I say that? I think you like do meet and greets and they have like food and drink or whatever, maybe, I don't know, something along those lines, but still $1,000, like that is, I mean, and hypothetically, like, 'cause some people were like, well, Vegas is cheap, and if you're a high roller, or like, if you get the player points, they'll send you free hotel rooms and free flights and all this. Also, I want to tell you guys that there's like this huge car race the following weekend in Vegas. It's like Porsches, Lamborghinis. It's some like big fancy car street race, and it's the following weekend. I think everything's being held at Caesars for Bravocon, but it could make the weekend before annoying for the rest of Vegas because they're going to be setting up for probably like the race and stuff, I would assume, because it's like a really, 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 really big deal. But hypothetically, like, let me know what your thoughts are. Like, what is the cheapest amount you think if you were like from Vegas or around Vegas and you feel like it's feasible, like traveling anywhere from, in the United States, that you'd have to take a flight and get a hotel room on top of your ticket. How cheap do you think that the average person could get to Bravocon? So you have $1,000 off rip for the Bravocon ticket. What's your hotel gonna run for 2 nights at Caesars? A couple of thousand, I would say. I don't think you could get a room at Caesars under 600 or 700, but I could be wrong. I was at Caesars for Super Bowl in 2018 or 19. Did you see that deep breath I took? Because it was literally like high rolling gamblers in this room with like this huge projection of the Super Bowl going on. And we were looking for my friend in front of all these people. It was very, very intense. Gambling for some people is very intense and very serious. But my point is at Caesar's Palace, I'm looking to get a room for like under $600 or $700. So that leaves you either finding a hotel in the area for a cheaper price or staying in Old Vegas and riding the Amtrak to Caesars. But I don't really think the rooms in Old Vegas are all that much more cheaper, really. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. The second issue that we kind of talk about a little bit is the fact that there's no press passes. There's like nothing for like press and bloggers, and there's like a community of us that's like a little bit frustrated with that because of the fact that, again, giving a lot of free press and content and time invested into Bravo and into Housewives, and you should be mindful of your press and mindful of the people that are like, I was at Caesars as a teenager and we saw the actor who played Carlton on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and got a photo with him. He hosts America's Funniest Home Videos now. Yeah. Caesar, I mean, Vegas is very beautiful. I love out west. I haven't been out since the year of the fires. I think it was like 2019. And we actually flew into LA and drove into Vegas. So that's the only way I actually know the route. And I know that it's in the middle of the desert because it's like you don't see anything and then all of a sudden you're in Vegas. So I don't know. I mean, I love Vegas, and if I had all the money in the world, and I would just be like Kenya and travel with my kid and have an au pair that travels with me, and I would just pay for all of my friends. But fortunately, that's not the case for people. And a lot of bloggers, too, like, I want to remind you guys, I know that some of the big, bloggers like Up and Adam and Kempire and the real Beverly, or the real Andy BH, like, they're all gentlemen. I don't think they have children. And Sherelle, she's big time, but I think her son is much older. So a lot of the other bloggers, though, in the community are like not necessarily stay-at-home moms. Maybe they're part-time working moms, whatever the case may be. They kind of got into blogging and into housewives and into social media because it's something that they can do from home and they don't have to leave their kids. So that's why I think that I'm kind of in. But I also think that Bravocon should be if you're paying $1,000, it should be an experience that not every fan, could or would have, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I want exclusive. I want everything exclusive if I'm paying that kind of money. Like, seriously. I'm just saying. But yeah, so that's where we're at. We're in Vegas, and we are the weekend of my birthday. I think it's like the 5th. We don't have a roster, which is typical. Last year they didn't come out with a roster till much closer, but they sold day passes. I didn't see anything about day passes. Again, don't know how feasible Vegas is for people in the area to drive in for the day or for the night. If anyone wants to comment about that, let me know. Because again, that's like something you can do in New York City from New Jersey and their surrounding areas. So if they're not selling day passes, then that tells me that they're not anticipating people making a day trip out of it. It's all or nothing. It's go big or go home. It's go in debt or don't. Leave your kids or don't. I guess that's what it comes down to. So, all right, guys. So I just wanted to know your opinions. Okay, so I think David mentioned that Erica was performing in Vegas around the same time as Bravocon. I believe that they probably are promoting it together. I'm so uninterested in Erica at this point, guys. I really could care less if she left the show. I'm not trying to be hateful or mean, but like, without her and Lisa, like, I feel like her and Lisa played off each other, and you knew that they were always kind of plotting together and that they could be their true, like, selves around one another, and at least, like, the cameras would catch that here and there. Like, I'm gonna be bored with Erica. I don't really care about Vegas. Like, she did Roxy before COVID. Like, when her and Tom were still, had the facade of millionaires times a billion, right? But like now it's like, do we really? Like, what's the credentials here? Why would we want to pay to see her in Vegas? I don't understand. But Bravo wants a piece of that money, so they're like, yes, because they get a portion of her sales. But like, not big enough that they would move Bravocon. I just think it was whoever organized it last year did a shitty job. They weren't prepared because it was the first year after COVID, and instead of working with what they already are familiar with, they're like, they do what Bravo does, right? Shuts it down, says it's no good anymore, and moves it across to the other coast and tries it there until that fumbles, and then they'll be back in New York in a couple of years. Like, and another thing I loved was like that they had all of the housewives like away from home, sort of. Like, they're not in their element in New York City. New York City is it is the heart of fashion, but you can tell people that, for example, it's just fun to see the housewives out of their element and away from home, right? It was November, and Nicole Martin from the Real Housewives of Miami was waiting in the elevator at the Gansevoort next to me and my friend, and she had on like this little tiny shirt, and she has a gorgeous body. She's beautiful in person, and this little tiny skirt. Okay, it's like all of the material put together was probably like this big. She was freezing, okay, and she was trying not to act like she was freezing, but you could tell she was freezing. And so it's just funny sometimes to see the women away from home, out of their element, and like in not a so familiarized area. That's all. It's just me. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to be doing a whole video on the Carlos King and Nene Leakes because there was a lot we want to break down in that video. She also talks about her son being arrested and having addiction issues. She does an amazing job explaining it from a mom's perspective. And so I'm going to be talking about that in one of my videos. And I also want to cover some things on New Jersey. So make sure that you guys stay tuned. I just wanted to come on and say hi, talk real quick about Bravocon. My cat had kittens, like out of nowhere. I didn't know she was pregnant. I came home and there's 4 kittens and they're like 2 weeks old now. And now they want to play and they are all over the place. And yesterday I was driving to work and there was a turtle in the middle of the road. And I'm not joking when I say a turtle. I have a film of it. It literally was huge. And I couldn't leave it on the road because it was going to get run over. Like I literally ran over and it was like in the middle of my car, so it didn't hit either tire, but it was like a snapping turtle and it had a tail and it raised itself up and stuck its head out. I was like, dang. But we got it back into the water and where it belongs though. But I'm like, okay guys, I can't take anymore. Like I can't take anymore. Nature, kittens, birds. I can't. Bye guys.